Devotees, welcome to this today's Sunday Feast program. We are starting the program with Kirtan by Her Grace Sarveshri Mataji. Hare Krishna Mataji. Over to you.
विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामी इति नामिने।
नमस्ते सरस्वती देवी गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशधारिणे।
नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे।
जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृन्द।
जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृन्द।
हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे
हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे
हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे
हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे
हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे
हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare
Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare
Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare
Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare
Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare
Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare
Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare
Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare
Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare
Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare
Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare
Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare
Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare
Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare
Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram
Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare
Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare
Jaya Radha Damodar Radha Damodar Radhe
Jaya Radha Damodar Radha Damodara Radhe.
Jaya Radha Neelamaadhav Radha Neelamaadhav Radhe.
Jaya Radha Neelamaadhav Radha Neelamaadhav Radhe.
Jaya Radha Vrindavan Chandra Radha Vrindavan Chandra Radhe.
Jaya Radha Radhe.
Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada.
Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada.
Jaya Guru Deva Jaya Guru Deva Jaya Guru Deva Jaya Guru Deva.
Jaya Guru Deva Jaya Guru Deva Jaya Guru Deva Jaya Guru Deva.
Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitai Gaura Hari Bol.
Jai Gaura Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitai Gaura Hari Bol.
Thank you, Mataji. That's a wonderful Kirtan. We are moving on to the next part of our program, Srimad Bhagavatam, Sloka, Recitation and Realization Sharing. Rohini Mataji will introduce today's Sloka and her 3-point realization.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Hare Krishna devotees. Today's verse is from Srimad Bhagavatam, 2nd canto, the Cosmic Manifestation, chapter 1. The first step in God realization. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Srimad Bhagavatam, 2nd canto, 1st chapter, 4th verse. Dehaptya kalatradishva atma sainyeshva asatsva api tesam pramatto nidanam pasyan api na pasyati. Translation by Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Persons devoid of Atma Tattva do not inquire into the problems of life, being too attached to the fallible soldiers like the body, children and wife. Although sufficiently experienced, they still do not see their inevitable destruction. Purport and my understanding with the Guru's mercy. The first point, Brahma to small germs like COVID has to die in this material world, but time span is different. Second point, people are struggling for existing or to live the better life with their own people and wanted to win on the material nature and not to using their human energy properly to come out of perplexities. Third point, Sukadeva Goswami suggesting us to get perfect realization will get only by transcendental knowledge, will not misguided by anyone and protected the Lord in this material world. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Samanvita.
Hare Krishna. Deha patya प्रत्ययादिषु आत्मसंन्येष्वसत्स्वपि तेषां प्रमत्तो निधनं पश्यन्नपि न पश्यति. Translation. Persons devoid of Atma Tattva do not inquire into the problems of life, being too attached to the fallible soldiers like the body, children, and wife. Although sufficiently experienced, they still do not see their inevitable destruction. Everyone from Brahma to
Keep
a
mic
germ.
near. Keep mic near.
Everyone from Brahma to the insignificant germ in this material world is struggling for existence. But only in the human life we have an opportunity to learn about Krishna and get free from birth and death. But we are getting too attached to children, body, friends and relatives, and society. So we should not waste this human life and read books, do chanting so that we can go to Krishna. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Samanyata. This is a good realization. Next, Dhriti.
Hare Krishna devotees.
Hare Krishna, Dhriti.
Deha pratyakalatradesh atma sanvesha atsvapi tesham pramato nidhyanam pashyanapi na pashyati. Translation. Persons devoid of Atma Tattva do not inquire into the problems of life, being too attached to the fallible soldiers like the body, children, and wife. Although sufficiently experienced, they still do not see their inevitable destruction. I don't have a realization today, Prabhu. Thank you.
Thank you, Dhriti. Next, Jishnu.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Jishnu.
Deha patyakalatradesh atma shanyeshvatashvapi tesham brahmatuniddanam pashyanapi na pashyati. Persons devoid of Atma Tattva do not inquire into the problems of life, being too attached to the fallible soldiers like the body, children, and wife. Although sufficiently experienced, they still do not see their inevitable destruction. So, sometimes, especially in high school, you get courses like career planning, and you discuss the long-term and short-term goals for your career. So you might hear, oh, it's better to get a job where you learn more, even if that means you're not going to make as much money earlier on in your career, so that you can plan ahead for the future. So we do a lot of this career planning, but your career is going to end once you die. I mean, the college I go to or whatever is going to be over in the next 10 years. After that, I get a job, and then my career is going to be done by I'm 65. But something that's not going to die is our soul. So we really plan for our soul's career, and if we're so engaged in our material career that we forget about our soul's career, then we're just doing the same thing. We're only planning short term, where we should be planning more long term. Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you, Jishnu. Any soul's career planning tips?
Do more japa.
Do more japa. Wonderful. Thank you, Jishnu.
Big round of applause for him.
Hari Bol. Okay. Next, Chaitanya.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Patyakala tradis pamasainis atsvapi tesam advato nidanam pasyanapi na pashyati. Translation. Persons devoid of Atma Tattva do not inquire in the problems of life, being too attached to the fallible soldiers like the body, children, and wife. Although sufficiently experienced, they still not see their inevitable destruction. What I realized is that every living being in the material world, they're gonna die at one point. Even if you're even Brahma, Jesus, every living being will die. So what we have to try to do is make sure that this is our last life in this material world. So we have to escape the bondage of birth and death, the cycle, the repeating cycle, and we have to go back to God and do devotion. Thank you.
Thank you, Chaitanya. That's a wonderful realization. Next, Madhav Chaitanya.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Deha patyakaladradesh atma shanyesha satsvapi tesham pramato nidanam pasyan api na pashyati. Translation. Persons devoid of Atma Tattva do not inquire into the problems of life, being too attached to the fallible soldiers like the body, children, and wife. Although sufficiently experienced, they still do not see their inevitable destruction. My realization on this verse is that this human life is so rare, so we should use it for a good cause and go back to Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Wonderful point. Yeah. Human life is rare. It is not granted. That's a wonderful point. Anjali?
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Anjali.
Deha pati kalatradesh atma sayanveshva asatvapi tesham pramato nidanam pashyanpi na pashyanti. Person devoted in Atma Tattva do not inquire into the problems of life, being too attached to the fallible soldiers like the body, children, the wife, although sufficiently experienced, they still do not see the inevitable destruction.
Thank you, Anjali. That's a wonderful recitation, and thank you for reading the translation. Okay, Shruti? Sorry.
Hare Krishna. Deha patya kalatradesh atma sainye satsvapi tesham pramata nidanam pasyanapi na pasyati. Translations. Persons devoid of Atma Tattva do not inquire into the problems of life, being too attached into the fallible soldiers like the body, children, and wife. Although sufficiently experienced, they still do not see their inevitable destruction. My realization is that this world is a world of death, which means like everyone and everything will once end. We are also sure to die in the future, and so are our friends and relatives, and the devotees of the Supreme Lord that dedicate their lives in the devotional service and attain pure knowledge.
Wonderful, Shruti. That's a nice realization.
Deha patyakalatradesh atmasanyeshva satsyapi tesham pramatto nidanam pashyanapi na pashyati. Translation. Persons devoid of Atma Tattva do not inquire into the problems of life, being too attached to the fallible soldiers like the body, children, and wife. Although sufficiently experienced, they still do not see their inevitable destruction. Oh. No, I think everything has been covered.
Thank you for reciting the sloka. Yeah, that's a wonderful point in the translation. Even though sufficiently experienced, we are seeing other families, something happens, so we should realize that. So the three types of people are there, like Uttama, Madhyama, and Adama. So Adama means the people, even though happens to them, they will not realize. Madhyama means if they happens to them, then realize. The Uttama means even though it is happened to others, he will realize. So we should be in the Uttama category, like if it is happening to others, okay, it can happen to me also. So that is what the sufficiently experience. It is need not happen to us, but it is happening to the others. So we should realize everybody is sure to die sometime. So thank you all kids for sharing nicely your realization and nice recitation. With that, we are moving on to the next part of our program, Sunday Feast lecture. Today we have a wonderful speaker, His Grace Radha Rajbihari Prabhu. Prabhu moved to US recently. He served ISKCON Bilaspur. Prabhu, with a humble nature, he is with us very few weeks, but he already participating in the Janmashtami services. Now, I am requesting Prabhu to give the today's Sunday feast class. With that, we will welcome Prabhu by loudly chanting one time Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Over to you, Prabhu.
Thank you so much, Prabhu. Thank you, Satyasar Prabhu, for asking me to give a class. Although you know that I am not qualified for that. And there are very good people who can speak, very good devotees who have been participating in discourses in the past. So I'm pretty sure that you will pardon me if I do any mistakes here. Whatever I'm going to speak, it is all from the Goswamis and from Srila Prabhupada's lecture and purports from Srimad Bhagavad Gita. So please excuse me if there are any mistakes from my part. And I'll just read whatever I have read from others. Okay, so there's nothing mine. And in this course, if there is any mistake, please forgive me. Thank you so much, Prabhu, once again. So we'll start the class. I think we have 1 hour, no, Prabhu? So we'll start the class with the Mangala Charan. So we start. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namini Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharini Nirvishesh Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatharini Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Siddhartha Swami Ti Namini Namaste Shishi Radharasmi Hari Charan Kamala Sevakam Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Shishya Priyayate Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manovishtam Sapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsya Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamsya He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Shri Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vaksha Kalpatarobhyascha Kripa Sindubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Shri Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare let's do little bhajan just to make it. So everybody knows Jai Radha Madhav, right? Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari.
Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari.
Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari.
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 Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana.
Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana.
Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana.
Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana.
Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari.
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 Thank you so much. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So, everybody is excited here for the upcoming celebration, right? What is that celebration? Janmashtami. Janm, that has happened on Ashtami Tithi, right? But Ashtami Tithi, though many people, why they are born. Why this is so special? Kids, let's make it interactive, right? Because this is the birth of Krishna. And who is Krishna? Very nice. So, what's your name, Prabhu? Madhava. Madhava Prabhu says, because he is the supreme personality of Godhead. So how do you know that he is supreme personality of Godhead? There are so many Krishnas. Just like I said, there are many Ashtami Tithis and many people are born on those Ashtami Tithis, right? And then my friend Madhava, he says that he is the supreme personality of Godhead. So how do we know that he is supreme personality of Godhead? Yes, Mataji. Yes, Mataji. So that is describing Bhagavan. Just as Parashar Muni said that these are the 6 opulences. If anybody has those opulences incomplete, then he is Bhagavan, right? But because we are talking about Supreme Personality of Godhead and we got to know something about him, so how do you know about it? You don't know anything, and then you have to learn certain things. You go to a school, right? And then you learn from your teachers. And who are those teachers? Those teachers have already read all those things in the past, so they can tell you about it, right? So there has to be something authenticated, right? So what is authenticated source? Lord himself tells about this in the Bhagavad Gita. So anything we are talking about is just roaming around Bhagavad Gita today. So Lord says in Bhagavad Gita, 3rd chapter, 15th verse, Karma brahmodbhavam vidhi brahmakshar samudbhavam tasmat sarvagatam brahma nityam yagye pratishtitam. Which says that Vedas are the authentic source, and further, the Vedas are directly manifested from the Lord. So we talked about the school, and here we are talking about the Vedas. Okay? So Vedas are something that is telling about the authentication of Krishna. They are telling about the Supreme Personality of God, is telling who is Supreme Personality of Godhead. Okay? And Lord, it is also said, Vedas says that Lord is the authentic source, and the Vedas are actually manifested from the Lord himself. Okay? And Lord confirms it in 15th chapter. This is Purushottam month. We are reciting this chapter every day. So one of the verses says, 15:15, Sarvasya chaham hridi sannivishta mattah smritir jnanam apohanam cha vedescha sarvair ahamev vedyo vedant krit ved vid eva chaham. So what does that mean? Lord says that I am compiler of the Vedas and I am the knower of the Vedas. Compiler of the Vedas and knower of the Vedas, and all the purpose of Vedas is to know me. He is the compiler, he is the knower, and the purpose of Vedas is also to know him. So, but Vedas, they deal with many activities. You all know about it, right? There are different kinds of activities that Vedas deal with. So their first part is Karma Kanda. Karma Kanda, everybody knows. What is Karma Kanda? Anybody? Among kids? What is Karma Kanda? Material activities, right? You perform material activities, right? But when we are doing japa, what kind of activity it is? It is a spiritual activity, right? So there is a difference between a material activity and a spiritual activity. So Karma Kanda is for achieving material benefits. Okay? I wanted to do this to achieve this, right? I'm earning money so that I have a luxurious car, a big bungalow, what's to say? So many things, right? So these are all material things. We are earning to get certain things. So that is material. What do you get after chanting? You're saying it's a spiritual, right? But do you get something? Mercy of the Lord. Very nice. You're very, very well versed, my friend Madhava. Very well versed. Thank you. You get mercy of the Lord. You get mercy of the Lord in many ways. By hearing, by chanting, by eating prasadam, by distributing books. So many ways, right? So, for material benefits, it comes under the category of Karma Kanda. Then next comes Jnana Kanda. This is also part of Vedas, right? Jnana Kanda. So, Jnana Kanda, it is decreasing the material involvement and understanding the Supreme Lord. So you cut to the next level. From material level, Karma Kanda, to the little spiritual taste, where you start decreasing your material environment and then increasing more taste towards the Lord, different activities, like. And then finally it is Upasana Kanda. Upasana Kanda, or decreasing the material involvement through the worship of the Supreme Lord. Okay. And among this also, among all the types of upasana or worship, the worship of the Supreme Personality of Godhead or Krishna is considered to be the topmost. It is Bhakti Yoga. Bhakti Yoga. And Krishna revealed this to Brahma. Who is Brahma? Creator of this universe. Okay. In Srimad Bhagavatam 2.9, 5 till 37, all this is getting revealed to Brahma. And Brahma passes on this information to whom? Narada. And from Narada this information goes to, that he will come little later. Vedavyas. It comes to Vedavyas, Maharishi Vedavyas. And Vedavyas, earlier these Vedas were all one, right? It's just one big scripture, right? But later on, Maharishi Vedavyas, he segregated them further. He broke it down into Riga Veda, Samaveda, Yajurveda and Atharva Veda. And he also wrote down 108 Upanishads, 17 Purans, including Mahabharata. And finally, he was not satisfied. Not satisfied. Doing all this hardship, he was not satisfied. Why? Then again, there is a spiritual spark coming in the form of Narada Muni. And he's saying, you have done everything, but the main thing is still left. What was that main thing? Bhagavatam. So he said, you have to describe the glories of the Lord. So he started writing Srimad Bhagavatam. So when Maharishi Vedavyas, he finally wrote Srimad Bhagavatam, he was satisfied, because this is the ripened fruit of all the Vedanta Sutras. Everything that is there. Now the question is, can we have a faith on these Vedas? Can we have faith on Vedas? Yes, no, maybe? Yes. Because Vedas are telling who is our father, our father's father, and father's father's father. Like this, we go all the way up to Krishna. Right? So they are telling, so that means, but who knows that there may be something which has gone something wrong in between. It may be some contaminations are there. We are not able to understand it properly. So the question still lies there. Can we have faith in Vedas or not? But we develop the faith only if we know it is authoritative. It's an authoritative. Okay? Now, a child has to ask, is asked, who's your father? So, the best source is go to the mother. Who's my father? The mother is going to tell you, this is your father. Right? The same way, if you have to find out some reliable source, let's take another example. You have to go to some place by a train. Okay? And you go to a train station and you are standing outside, a person is selling ticket on outside, on the roadside. Say, I have a ticket, I can give you for less, you can just go and travel. And then you have a choice that you go to the ticket window and purchase the ticket from there. So what is the more authenticated source? Go to the ticket window, right? Because that person may give you an expired ticket. You go and the ticket collector comes, he said, hey, what are you doing? This is the wrong ticket. You have messed up. Right? So you have to go to authoritative source in order to get the information, right? So for a source of information to be accepted, it should be infallible. Infallible means never disapproved, never ever disapproved, and it should have stood the test of time. It is not amended. Not amended means no contamination during this time. So Vedas are not recent thing. It is coming from time immemorial, like it's Sanatan, as the beginning of Sanatan Dharma, the Vedas are there from the beginning of the time. Okay? So initially the Lord gave the information to Brahma, Brahma to Narad, Narad to Vyas, and then my friend told me to Madhvacharya. Like this, there are so many disciplic succession gurus who have transferred this information in a disciplic succession, in a Guru Sishya Parampara. Okay, so if there is a Guru Sishya Parampara that is continued like this for several generations, then it forms a Sampradaya. Okay? Sampradaya. And there are 4 authenticated sampradaya. Can anybody name it? What are the 4 sampradayas? Yes? 2 more? Yes? Gaudiya, it will come later. There are... Okay. Kumara Sampradaya. Right. So Madhva, you can say Brahma Sampradaya. So first was Brahma Sampradaya. So which Sampradaya actually we are following? Brahma, Madhva, Gaudiya Sampradaya. So Brahma comes first, right? So Brahma Sampradaya is actually the one that we are following, right? So, and Lord himself speaks in Bhagavad Gita, this science of spiritual knowledge, I initially gave to who? That Veda was given to Brahma. We are talking about Bhagavad Gita. This information was first given to Vivaswan. Vivaswan is sun god. Okay? So Lord says, Ime Vivasvate Yogam Proktab Vanaham Avyayam Vivaswan Manave Praha Manur Ikshva Abravit. That means Lord speaks to Arjun that he first imparted this knowledge to sun god Vivaswan, who gave this knowledge to Manu. Who is Manu? Manu is father of mankind. Okay? All the mankind. Manu is father of mankind. And then further in the next sloka, Lord says, Evam parampara praptim imam rajarashayo viduhu sa kale neha mahata yogo nashta param tapa. This supreme science was thus received through the chain of disciplic succession, the chain of spiritual masters in which the knowledge is imparted to the disciple by the authenticated guru is called Sampradaya. So, we already discussed about it. We are coming in the line of Brahma. So, Brahma Sampradaya. The Lord says that the supreme science was thus received through the chain of disciplic succession, and the saintly kings understood it in that way. But in the course of time, the succession was broken, and therefore the science as it is appears to be lost. Okay, so stressing on this point a little bit. Lord says that this science was imparted through disciplic succession to saintly kings. Saintly kings means those kings who were our forefather rulers, that their purpose was to actually govern the general public, right? So in order to rule them properly, there have to be formulation of certain rules and regulations, right? We are all rules and regulation abiding citizens, right? We follow the rules and laws, right? If the law says in America that you have to drive on the right side, you have to drive on the right side. Coming from India, no. I have a habit of driving on the left side. I will just go and drive. You will mess up, right? You'll get a ticket. Okay? So we have to follow the laws. And in order to follow these laws, what you have to do? You have to follow the information that is coming in disciplic succession through proper channel without any contamination as it is. Right? So Srila Prabhupada has done a wonderful job, and we always pay him our respectful obeisances for providing us this Bhagavad Gita as it is. Because there are so many versions of Bhagavad Gita floating in the market. People are doing business on it. But Prabhupada accepts Bhagavad Gita as it is. He gives it to us in the same form as it is, and acknowledges Krishna everywhere. So we should be very, very thankful from the core of our heart and always pray for Srila Prabhupada, his mercy, and also because our Guru Maharaj is also coming the same disciplic succession, always pay our obeisances to him. So in further shlokas, in 4.3, Lord speaks that very ancient science of relationship with the Supreme is today told to me by me to you. Why? Because you are my devotee as well as my friend. Okay? Lord says, you are my devotee and my friend. I am stressing on this word because Lord has already declared Arjun as his devotee. Devotee means Arjun doesn't have any doubt about Lord that he is Supreme Personality of Godhead. No doubt, nothing, no doubt. And can therefore understand this transcendental knowledge that is getting imparted to you. Because he is a devotee. And the biggest quality of the devotee is that they have firm faith in the instruction. Right? So if that instruction is coming directly from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, there is no doubt about it, just accept it. There are two classes of men, we all know. There are people who are of demoniac mentality, and there are people who are of saintly mentality. So saintly mentality people, they will not have any doubt about the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is Krishna. But the demoniac people, they will always doubt. How come that person looks just like me? He has got 2 eyes, 2 hands, 2 legs, just like me, coming in flesh and bones. He doesn't know it is not flesh and bone. But a saintly person knows that all the activities of the Lord, his appearance, his disappearance, everything is spiritual. He is not just like us. He is very different. He is the source of all the sources. Just now, before I was just preparing for this class, I heard that people are reciting Brahma Samhita. And what Lord Brahma says? Ishvaraha Paramaha Krishna Sachidananda Vigraha Anadiradir Govinda Sarva Karana Karanam. So, you are the Lord, cause of all the causes. Means there is no one before you, no one supreme to you, no one superseding you, it's just you, and from you everything is emanating. Now, the next verse is very interesting. Lord has already declared Arjuna that you are my devotee and my friend. That is why I am revealing this knowledge again to you, so that the broken disciplic succession can start again. But Arjuna says, the sun god Vivaswan is senior to you. He is senior to you. And how am I to be understanding this thing that in the beginning you instructed this science to him? Although the Lord has already declared, you are my devotee. So I am telling you this thing. But Arjuna is asking this question again. How come? Since the Lord already declared that Arjuna is devotee of the Lord, then how come he is not going to believe in the word of the Lord? But the fact is that Arjuna is not inquiring for himself, but for those who do not believe in the Supreme Personality of Godhead. We already just discussed there are 2 categories of men, right? The demoniac and the saintly people. Saintly people, they will understand, they will accept the Lord. But the demoniac people, they will not accept him. So what Arjuna wanted to hear it directly from the Lord. You tell about yourself, so that it becomes authoritative. If I will tell, maybe people will not accept my version, but if you say, they are going to accept it. Okay, so Arjuna is not inquiring for himself, but for those who do not believe in the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna. Arjuna asked this question so that Krishna reveals the fact about himself. In the subsequent verse, Lord speaks that many births both you and I have passed. I remember all of them, but you cannot. Okay, let me read the purport. It's a beautiful purport and by Srila Prabhupada. So let's read this. Isi Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Bahuni me vyatitani janmani tavacha Arjuna Taneham Veda Sarvani Natvam Veta Parantapa. The personality of God had said, many, many births both you and I have passed. I can remember all of them, but you cannot, O subduer of the enemy. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada says, in Brahma Samhita, we have information of many, many incarnations of the Lord. It is stated there, Advaitam Achyutam Anadim Anantarupam Adyam Purana Purusham Nava Yauvanam Cha Vedeshu Durlabham Adurlabham Atma Bhaktau Govindam Adi Purusham Tam Aham Bhajami. I worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead Govinda or Krishna, who is the original person, absolute, infallible, without beginning, although expanded into unlimited forms. He is still the same original, the oldest, and the person always appearing as a fresh youth. Such eternal, blissful, all-knowing forms of the Lord are usually not understood by even the best Vedic scholars, but they are always manifested to the pure, unalloyed devotees. So those people who have got unflinching faith, they will always be able to understand the glories of the Lord. It is further stated in Brahma Samhita 539, Ramadimurti Shukala Niyamena Tishtan Nanavataram Akaroda Bhuvaneshu Kentu Krishna Swayam Samabhavat Paramah Pumanayo Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. I worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead Govinda, who is always situated in various incarnations such as Rama and Nrsimha and many sub-incarnations as well, but who is the original personality of Godhead known as Krishna, who incarnates personally also. That means, although there are different forms of the Lord, but He comes in His original form also. What is that original form? Krishna's form. You see just in this Vigraha. You see in this Vigraha. You see in there, that Vigraha. So, Lord is coming in two-handed form. Right? Holding a flute. Right? You look at His divine body form, bended at three different places, right? Tribhanga form, right? And He's coming with His associate devotees, right? So we will see in further verses, it's going to be a little more interesting. In the Vedas also it is said that the Lord, although one without a second, manifests Himself in innumerable forms. He is like a Vaidurya stone. Have you heard about Vaidurya stone? A touchstone. Okay? It changes the colors. It changes the colors. And Krishna is what? He also changes colors. He is Leela Avatar, Leela Purushottam, right? Right? So Vaidurya, which changes color yet remains one. All those multi-forms are understood by the pure, unalloyed devotees, but not by simple study of Vedas. Vedeshu durlabham, adurlabham, anda bhaktav, right? So devotees like Arjuna are constant companion of the Lord, and whenever Lord incarnates, the associate devotees also incarnate in order to serve the Lord in different capacities. Arjuna is one of these devotees, and in this verse it is understood that some millions of years ago, when Lord Krishna spoke Bhagavad Gita to sun god Vivaswan, Arjun in a different capacity was also present. Okay? But Arjun says, I don't remember. Arjun says, I don't remember. Why? Because how can you be senior to sun god Vivaswan? He is very old. Okay? But Lord says, you don't remember all those birds. I remember all those birds when you were associated with me. Okay? So here, the Lord, it's declared here, the Arjun is there in a different capacity, but the differences between the Lord and Arjun is that the Lord remembered the incident whereas Arjun could not remember. That is the difference between the part and parcel living entity and the Supreme Lord. Although Arjun is addressed here in as mighty hero, Parantapa, who could subdue the enemies. He is unable to recall what had happened in his various past words. Therefore, a living entity, however great he may be in the material estimation, can never equal to the Supreme Lord. Anyone who is a constant companion of the Lord is certainly a liberated person, but he cannot be equal to the Lord. The Lord is described in the Brahma Samhita as infallible or achyut, which means that he never forgets himself even though he is in material contact. Therefore, the Lord and the living entity can never be equal in all respects, even if the living entity is as liberated as Arjuna. Although Arjuna is a devotee of the Lord, he sometimes forgets the nature of the Lord, but by the divine grace of a devotee can at once understand the infallible condition of the Lord, whereas a non-devotee or a demon cannot understand this transcendental nature. Consequently, these descriptions in Gita cannot be understood by demoniac brains. Krishna remembered acts which were performed by him millions of years before, but Arjuna could not, despite the fact that both Krishna and Arjuna are eternal in nature. We may also note herein that a living entity forgets everything due to his change of body, but the Lord remembers because he does not change his body. His body is Satchid Anand body. He is Advait, which means there is no distinction between his body and himself. Everything in relation to him is spirit, whereas the conditioned soul is different from his material body, and because Lord's body and self are identical, his position is always different from that of an ordinary living entity, even when he descends to the material platform. The demons cannot adjust themselves to this transcendental nature of the Lord, which the Lord himself explains in the following verse. In the following verse, Lord says, although I am unborn and my transcendental body never deteriorates, and although I am Lord of all living entities, I still appear every millennium in my original transcendental form. Now comes the most famous verse. Who is going to tell that? Everybody has seen B.R. Chopra's Mahabharata. Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata abhyutthanam adharmasya tadatmanam srajamyaham. So here the Lord is telling why he comes. He comes. He doesn't say why, sorry. It will come in the next verse. He comes in every millennium. Yada yada hi dharmasya. Whenever there is a decline in religious principles, that is the time when Lord appears. And he appears in every millennium in his original form as Shyamasundara. Right? And how and why he comes? Why he comes is explained in the next verse. Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha dushkritam dharma samsthapanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge. So to deliver the pious and to annihilate the miscreants. But again the question comes, why he has to come personally? He has got so many energies. He'll simply ask the wind god, just go and take care of them. He'll ask the rain god, just take care of them. Yeah. So these are all servants of the Lord. And they are always at their duty. He's ready to actually take care of all the things that Lord says. Okay? They are willing to help the Lord in any way. Okay? So all these things, they are very powerful devatas, right? So they can do anything. So why Lord has to personally come to actually take care of all these demons? Yes, Prabhu. Some kids can also participate. I like to interact with kids, Prabhu. You all are very elevated souls, I don't know much, but kids, I think they know much than me. I wanted to definitely get enlightened from them. Madhava. The question was, if Lord has to appear in every millennium, he has got so many energies in the form of so many devatas. He can just ask wind god, he can ask rain god, just take care of these people, miscreants, okay? And they will be taken care of, right? Then why the Lord has to come personally? He wants to see his devotees. Very nice. Something more, some more realizations? More kids want to participate. Why Lord wants to come personally? Yes, it is important. It is very important. For devotees, non-devotees, everyone it's important. But why he has to come personally? He is enjoying nicely in Goloka Vrindavan with all the Surabhi cows and Radharani. Why he has to come here? Mataji, demons can be killed by all these devatas. They are enough, they have enough powers. Yes, to please the devotees, actually. That is the most important reason. See, there was Mother Devaki and Vasudev, they were in the prison, right? And when Lord appeared, he appeared in his four-handed form in front of Mother Devaki and Vasudev. And he tells that in past births, actually, you wanted me to me as your child. That is how I am coming to fulfill your desire. Killing Kamsa was not a big deal, right? That has just happened. It just happened because Lord was already there, so he did one more Leela. Okay, he killed so many demons, just like that Kamsa was also one, right? But actual thing was he wants to please his devotees. Okay, that is how come. So the shloka says, Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha dushkritam dharma samsthapanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge. To actually deliver the pious. Who are the pious? Pious are the devotees. Pious are the devotees of the Lord. And to annihilate the miscreants. Miscreants are the demoniac people. As well as to re-establish the principle of dharma, the religion, which was actually washed off because of the presence of those demoniac rulers. Right? We had so many in the past, right? If you look into Bhagavatam, you will find Hiranyakashyapu, Hiranyaksha, and then Kamsa, Ravana, the list is long. Right? The Lord comes not to actually kill those demons, but to protect the devotees. Right? In case of Prahlad Maharaj, what happened? Prahlad Maharaj was actually getting troubled by his own father. But what Lord did? He appeared to protect his devotee as well as take care of his father, who was a demon. But again, question will come, why Lord has to kill those demons? Can anybody answer this question? Why the Lord has to kill personally those demons? Yes. To liberate them, because they are not ordinary people. They are also coming from Lord's own abode. You heard about Jai Vijay? These Jai Vijay, they were actually cursed by the four Kumaras, right? So they have to appear in material world in form of the demons, right? And Lord has to personally come to take them back. So they are also devotees. They are also devotees. Here they are just playing a role, just like we are playing a drama. We are playing a drama. I am acting as a Kans, right? I am a Kans. But ever since that the drama is over, I am no more Kans. Right? That makes sense? Okay? So just like that, in this Leela, there are so many different characters. We are just trying to take our part, try to please the Lord. Okay, and the next verse is very, very important verse that we have to read and try to inculcate. I will like everybody to recite it together with me. This will tell about actual reason why the Lord is coming and what will happen to those people who understand the Lord by unflinching faith and devotion. Okay, so speak everybody after me. Janma karma cha me divyam एवं यो वेत्ति तत्त्वतः त्यक्त्वा देहं पुनर्जन्म नैति माम एति सो अर्जुना. One who knows the transcendental nature of my appearance and activities does not, upon leaving the body, take this birth again in this material world, but attains my eternal abode, O Arjuna. So Lord declares here. So we are all going to be liberated today. Believe me. Provided we all have that unflinching faith in the Lord. Okay? So there will be, as you can say, this is a big test right now, right? It's a big test, whether we have faith or no faith. Okay? So the Lord descends from His transcendental abode, is already explained earlier. One who can understand the truth of appearance of the personality of Godhead is already liberated from the material bondage, and therefore he returns to the kingdom of God immediately after quitting this present material body. Such liberation of living entity from material bondage is not at all easy. The impersonalists and yogis attain liberation only after much trouble and many, many births. Even then, the liberation they achieve, merging into the impersonal Brahma Jyoti of the Lord, is only partial, and there is the risk of returning to this material world. But the devotees, simply by understanding the transcendental nature of the body and the activities of the Lord, attains the abode of the Lord after ending this body, and does not run the risk of returning to this material world. In Brahma Samhita 533, it is stated that the Lord has many, many forms and incarnations, Advaitam, Achyutam, Anadim, Anantarupam. Although there are many transcendental forms of the Lord, they are still one and the same, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. One has to understand this fact with conviction, although it is incomprehensible to mundane scholars and empiric philosophers, as stated in the Vedas. In Purush Bodhini Upanishad, it is said, Eko Devo Nitya Leelanurakto Bhakta Vyapi Hridi Anantaratma. The one Supreme Personality of God has eternally engaged in many, many transcendental forms in relationship with His unalloyed devotees. The Vedic version is confirmed in this verse of Gita personally by the Lord. He who accepts this truth on the strength of the authority of the Vedas and of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and who does not waste time in philosophical speculations, attains the highest perfectional stage of liberation. Simply by accepting this truth on faith, one can, without a doubt, attain liberation. The Vedic version, Tat Tvam Asi. Speak Tat Tvam Asi. Please speak. Tat Tvam Asi. Tat Tvam Asi is actually applied in this case. Anyone who understands the Lord Krishna to be the Supreme, or who says unto the Lord, you are the same Supreme Brahman, the personality of Godhead, is certainly liberated instantly, and consequently his entrance into the transcendental association of the Lords is guaranteed. In other words, such a faithful devotee of the Lord attains perfection, and this is confirmed by the following Vedic assertion, Tam eva viditvati mrityum iti nanyah pantha vidyate yana aya. One can attain the perfect stage of liberation from birth and death simply by knowing the Lord, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and there is no other way to achieve this perfection, which is coming from Shvetashvara Upanishad 3.8. Okay, so what is this important thing? Now we have just learned that what we have to have? We have to have unflinching faith in the Lord in all the ways, right? Janma, karma, chame divyam. They are like both birth and activities. They are not material. Your birth, your activities, they are all transcendental. So if we have that faith, we are surely to have developed that unalloyed devotion towards the lotus feet of the Lord. Okay, so this faith is important. This faith is very, very important. How much time we have, Prabhu? Do we have 5 more minutes? Okay, okay. So the faith is very, very important. Here, the Lord further says, one can attain the perfect stage of liberation from birth and death simply by knowing that the Lord, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, there is in His activities. There is no alternative means that anyone can who does not understand Lord Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead is surely in the mode of ignorance. Okay, you learned everything about the Lord. He is the cause of all causes. Still you don't believe. So what is that? That means you don't have that firm devotion. You don't have that kind of faith. Okay, so it is just like Prabhupada is giving a very good example for those mundane scholars, that anyone who does not understand Lord Krishna as Supreme Personality of Godhead is surely in the mode of ignorance, and consequently he will not attain salvation simply, so to speak, by licking the outer surface of bottle of honey. No one is going to get the taste, right? You see a very nice bottle of honey, and yes, you can see that there is honey inside, but you just start licking it from outside. Do you get a taste? No. You have to open it, take it out, put it on your tongue, and then get the taste, right? So that is how you get to know. So similarly, you have to submissively go to your Guru, tell that I wanted to learn more about Krishna, submissively surrender to your Guru, and then you get that knowledge imparted to you in a slow process. It's not just like boom. No, it's a gradual process. You have to go through that process, and then eventually you get to know, yes, who is Krishna. I am really your servant. And this is when you surrender to the Lord gives a guarantee. Sarva dharman parityajya mamekam sharam braja. Aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshishyami mahashucha. Guarantee. It's a guarantee, right? Who can give that authoritative guarantee? Nobody else, right? It's the only Lord who can say, you surrender unto me and I will take you back. No returning back in this material world, right? So by interpreting the Bhagavad Gita according to mundane scholarship, there is no way. Such empiric philosopher may assume very important roles in this material world, but they are not necessarily eligible for liberation. Such puffed up mundane scholars have to wait for causeless mercy of a devotee of the Lord, who should therefore cultivate Krishna consciousness with faith and knowledge, and in this way attain perfection. Okay, so first is get associated with the devotee. Okay, that is very, very rare. That is very, very rare. Okay, because if you get associated with the spark, what will happen? You get charged, right? You have this point. I'm just touching it off from outside. Nothing happens, right? Now I take something metal and put it inside, right? What happens? You're thrown away. You get that spark. Okay, so when you come in contact with that spark, you also get charged, right? That is the simple philosophy. Now, how to get that faith? Because Lord has over and over stressed on faith, not at one place, at several places in Bhagavad Gita. In 6:47, Lord says, Yoginam api sarvesham madgate antaratmana shraddhavan bhajate yomam same yukta tamo mataha. That means, of all the yogis, the one with great faith who always abides in me, thinks of me within himself, and renders transcendental loving service to me, he is the most intimately united with me in yoga and is highest of all. Okay, so for all the yogis, Lord is saying, who has got unflinching faith and devotion unto me. And then again, he repeats again in 12th chapter, 2nd verse, Maya Veshya Mano Yemam Nitya Yukta Upasate Shraddhaya parayopetaste me yukta tamamata. Those who fix their minds on my personal form and are always engaged in worshipping me with great and transcendental faith are considered by me to be the most perfect. Okay? Towards end, on 17th chapter, he is again saying, Sattvanurupa sarvasya shraddha bhavati bharata shraddhaya mayoyam purusho yo shraddha sa eva sa. According to one's existence under the various modes of nature, one evolves a particular kind of faith. The living being is said to be of a particular faith according to the modes he acquired. Okay? So now you can say that what is this modes we acquired? Okay? So here is the importance of the form in which we are sitting here. There are multiple living entities, you see, right? You see dogs, you see cats, you see fishes, you see birds, right? All different living entities are there. But what is the difference between these all living entities and human being? Anybody? Yes, beta. We can learn about Krishna. What else? We can learn about. That's a very genuine point. Yes. Anything else? Madhava, I have another question. I was telling that there are several different living entities and there's a human form in which we are sitting here. So what is the difference between all those living entities and humans? Yes, they have a knowledge to learn about Krishna. That's very nice. So let's clap for Madhava. You are also correct, but he has added a flavor to it, knowledge. Because we can distinguish between what is good, what is wrong, right? Here comes one more example. I was recently reading about it. You all have seen parrots? Have you seen parrots? Okay, parakeets. So you have a parakeet at home and you tell him Ram, Ram, Ram. So he will say Ram, Ram, Ram. Okay? Now someone comes to your home, you all say just say Ram. So they will become, hey, your parrot says Ram. Very nice, very nice. Then what happens? There is no one coming, is that you are not at home and there is a cat coming to the home, right? She opens the cage and grabs the parrot. Is he going to say Ram? He'll say, no. He doesn't know that, right? If he's like he's a devotee, he will say Ram, right? Otherwise, he's not going to say Ram because he doesn't have that distinguishing mentality. He doesn't have that viveka to distinguish between good and bad, right? That thing is there only in human form of life. Even devatas, they don't have this luxury. They don't have this luxury. What we are having in this place, in this time, in these circumstances. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says this is the golden age. This is the golden age. Because here you can go back to Godhead by very simple process. Anybody know what is that process? Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, Padasevanam. All this is fine. But just one quick way. Chanting the holy names, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So that is the best way, easiest way, right? So that the Lord is so merciful. And He has just given His mercy just like that. Okay, Krishna was not that merciful, but Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is very, very merciful. The most Mahavadannaya. You say that? You say Mahavadannaya. Namo Mahavadannaya. Krishna Prem Pradayate. Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya. Namne Gaur Trishe Namaha. So he's the most benevolent of all the avatars. So merciful that he has given his name in the form to us so that we can chant and be happy. Thank you so much for your attention. If there are any questions, I'll be very happy to address those with my very little knowledge and understanding. If I am not able to answer you, There are so many elevated souls sitting here who will be definitely guiding you all. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Devotees who are in the temple room and who are on online, if you have any questions or comments and if you want to share any reflections, please raise your hand.
I think I just bored everybody. I have super bored everybody. I think they are not.
Made it very clear, maybe.
Okay, so there are only two ways to think.
30
Like if you
seconds.
understand everything, so you understand nothing. Yes, Prabhu. I'm sorry, Prabhu, I was already doing that. So thank you all once again. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. Nicely setting the mood for the Janmashtami with the increased faith, and you are stressing so much on the faith of Krishna, form, and Leela and all. Thank you for nicely explaining all those details with the references from the Srimad Bhagavad Gita. With that, we are moving on to the next part of our program. Is